Hello, everybody, and welcome into a brand new season of the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series presented by the Alloy Wheel Repair Specialist. Good to see everybody hopefully back. Hope you're all doing well. Left off on a good one to end the championship last season, and boy, do we got a good one here tonight. It's the Duels at Daytona, the FastTrack Duels to be more precise, and everybody's looking to get themselves a shot at the biggest race of the season, and it all starts here. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You're watching Austin Green on Ghost Racing Network. Drivers rolling off, getting ready for duel number one. We'll break down the format and more after we get into your starting grid here on the night. So taking a look, it is Danny Gutierrez. He takes the pole. Remember the speed he had last year when we came to Daytona. Actually got the win during the biggest race of the season in the Capital Auto Group 250. We'll see if he can make it a repeat back-to-back 250s for him this season. Anthony Hanley will roll off second on the outside. Tracy Powers back in third. It's Christopher Hall in fourth with Michael Muller in fifth. Mark Sabak in sixth. And your first rookie in the field tonight, Andrew Mraz back in seventh. Brian Conklin eighth. Jeff Marble in ninth. And Roger Shelton rounding out your top 10. Row number 6 for duel 1 is going to be Glenn Grigsby and Thomas O'Hara. Moving on back to row number 7, it's Austin Fitzgerald, followed by Ryan Shiro. Cody Matthews back in 15th with Ryan Haynes in 16th. And Brett Spod for BMP. He is rounding out duel number 1 here. He will roll off 17th. So breaking up the duel format for you, one thing we do know for sure is the top 2 qualifiers, just based off of time, they locked themselves in to the Capital Auto Group 250 already, and we can actually pull that up for you here real quick, I believe at least, and show you just what we're looking at and who's going to already have their way locked in. So looking at it, there you go, Danny Gutierrez and Kenneth Bartholomew, who we'll see actually in the next duel. Those are your 2 drivers that are already immediately locked in no matter what happens in the rest of this race. And we have more to talk about with I believe it's top 16 drivers in points already locked in as well. We'll get more into that as this duel goes forward. But taking a look at your race info here tonight, the breakdown pretty simple. Again, it's the FastTrack Duels. We got 2 of them. This is number 1, and it's going to be everybody that's starting on the odd number rows. So this will make up the inside row or the inside line, excuse me, for the Capital Auto Group 250 next week. And as you can see, 30 laps the distance for each duel, 100% fuel, 4 tire sets, no fast repairs, open setups, and a couple green-white checkers if we were to need them. Here we go. Green flag in the air for the first time. The FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series is back underway at Daytona. Lap 1 completed, and it is going to go to Michael Muller, one of the rookies, already showing a lot of strength, leading the field. Everybody going to be keeping close eyes on this first duel to see how everybody, including these rookies, do, how they perform, and what they need to try to practice and set up for in duel number 2. But right now, how about the 4-car tandem pulling strong and out to the lead? And in fact, I think this is 3 out of the 4 rookies that might be teammates so far this season. We talked about Michael Muller for Riot Motorsports. He's got a teammate in Andrew Mraz. Second, Anthony Hanley. I mean, these guys already looking like the class of the field. Again, they're starting to put some distance between everybody else, rolling the bottom, and they are rolling it well right now. The top's got 2. And further back, they're starting to get things a little bit more organized. And, you know, we don't get to see this a lot if you watch a decent amount of our broadcast, but again, this is one of those open setup leagues, so it doesn't come down to just driver skill, but also what kind of setup do you have back and behind you. You got to have both to have success, especially at a track like Daytona. That's exactly what we're seeing right now from the Riot Motorsports boys. 3 laps down as they rocket off of turn number 2 onto the Daytona Super Stretch, looking a little bit further back in the pack. Some people playing it safe, and I talked about a breakaway of the leaders. How about 2 packs starting to form here? Right now it is Mark Sabat currently rounding out the field here in 17th position. Thomas O'Hara up in 16th, Ryan Shiro in 15th, Roger Shelton in 14th, Tracy Powers 13th, Ryan Haynes, and everybody else that's making up this second group, all again trying to keep those 4 that initially had pulled away in check, and looks like once they were able to get single file, they were able to do just that. So now that they've all got locked back together, I think you might see some of the single file ride in action here for a little bit. 30 laps, not a super long distance, but, you know, when the track is 2.5 miles in length, it's plenty of time, and we still might see the big one here in Duel 1. Again, Daytona International Speedway, 2.5 miles in length, one of the fastest tracks in NASCAR with well over 30 degrees of banking. And there's a reason that they call it one of the baddest in NASCAR, because as sweet as it is to win at a track like Daytona, boy, it is so tough to do. You need probably about 25% luck, even if you got all the skill in the world, if you want to have any chance at winning one of these things. So we talked about at the start of the broadcast that not only were the top 2 qualifiers locked in, but also the top 16 in points from last season. Now, you do catch a couple of those in this duel, a couple of them not, so let's take a look at who some of those guys are now, and you'll see probably some of them in duel number 2, some of them in duel number 1. Tyler Marble, Austin Fitzgerald, Danny Gutierrez, Brian Conklin, Jeff Shutt, Scott Glasso, Alan Pajari, Johnny McCulchuk, Bill Benedict, Jacob Musso, Jared Bundy, Ryan Haynes, Jeffrey Souza, Kyle Oakley, and Tracy Powers. Those are all your drivers that are already locked in, and then, of course, plus the 2 that qualified on the pole. That doesn't leave quite as many spots as it initially may have seemed like for some of these guys to try to race their way in to the Capital Auto Group 250 next week, but they're starting to get something working. How about the action picking up now on the top lane? And speaking of the top lane, who better to lead it here? We're going to get a good run now from Danny Gutierrez up top. Doesn't have the normal teammates that he had last season, and I think, from what I heard rumor-wise, he'll be joining Team Marble iRacing at some point during the season. We're just not exactly sure when that'll be. That's right now, as he's got a little tandem going with Jeff Marble on the outside. That is 2 of the Ford Mustangs. On the bottom, you got a Mustang, followed by a couple more Mustangs, and then the first Chevy we've seen up front. And that would be the 38 machine of Christopher Hall. Going even further back, a couple drivers that started to feel into it, get into a little bit of a rhythm at the end of last season that are looking to make sparks here at the beginning of this season. Look no further than Brett Spod, the driver out of Bushnell, Florida, for BMP Racing. There you go. He's ready to get on the action early, rolling the bottom, and he's already picked up 9 positions from where he started this race at. So definitely going in the right direction early here if you're Brett Spod, but at the end of the day, only 6 laps completed so far in this 30-lap event, so still a long ways to go, still a lot of moves to be made, still a lot of things you got to watch out for. We do have a couple driver cams here on the night, as we did last season, and first one we're going to take a look at here is series owner himself, and the man who, while he looks like he's probably pretty stressed right now, he's already locked into the Capital Auto Group 250, so just out here getting some practice, maybe going to try to help somebody into the duels himself, but it's Jeff Marble in the number 15 machine. He has been working that outside now for a couple laps. Look at the wheel movement. You got to be so precise hitting these things, and you know, they just had the Podium 500. I'm not sure if any of these guys ran it, but I definitely learned a lot of things that I think we're going to see applied tonight, and one of those is how you push a guy. Now take note here, watch what Jeff Marble does when he pushes Danny here. You see he's actually going to cool off for just a minute, but we'll stay right here and watch that front center bar that's right now lined up with the red line on that steering wheel. The goal is to line that center bar up on the left taillight. And now, contrary to what you might think in real life, when you do that in these cars, that is how you run the most speed. If you get tandemed up and you do that, man, you will go flying through the field. But right now, Jeff making it work, cools off a little bit in the corners, ducks right back down, continues to try to work with Danny Gutierrez. On the contrary, the inside lane, Andrew Mraz, rookie versus veteran. Right now, he is seeing what he can do, trying to help a fellow teammate. And another rookie, Michael Muller, out on the inside. Both of those two up a handful of positions. Doing kind of the same thing as you saw Jeff Marble doing. Pushes him, sends him off to the corner, backs it off, cools down just a little bit. There's no need for him to push the pace too much right now. He's just worried about taking things nice and easy and not getting himself caught in trouble. And then that's the best view in the house right there. That's what you want to have on the white flag lap here at Daytona. Not having to worry about anything out front, only behind. So the three sim coaches, Riot Motorsports Machines, the Ford Mustangs leading the field. And you got another Mustang 2 on the outside. The new Dark Horse is looking pretty good so far early in the season. And in fact, if we go even further back, looks like a couple people have now dropped a few spots. Ryan Shiro, and this group is not catching, unfortunately. That's what I was getting ready to make note of. So Tracy Powers, who's back in 13th, is currently the last car with that lead group. Now Ryan Shiro, who leads the second group, made up of Thomas O'Hara, Roger Shelton, and Mark Zabak. They currently sit, it looks like, according to scoring, about 5.7 seconds behind that lead pack. Now they still have enough time to catch, but if they keep losing, then it's going to come down to they need a caution if they want any chance at getting back up to the front and maybe winning this thing, much less having a shot at advancing. And so with 21 coming to 20 laps to go now, things stay about even. That outside line has been able to roll no further than about 5 cars from the front on the inside. Moving on to the next contender that you knew we'd mention at some point tonight, and the season that he brought together last season, the fact that the championship did not quite work out was heartbreak for Austin Fitzgerald, who had a technical issue in Phoenix with a car and a race that looked like it was all but his to win. And man, I know that brought some fire into Austin that maybe we didn't get a chance to quite see, at least emotionally, last season. But if you're looking for somebody to bet on right at the get-go, this is your guy. The driver out of Las Vegas, Nevada, Austin Fitzgerald, came so close last season and could be an early favorite this season. We'll have to find out. Remember, got the win actually at one of the technically super speedways we went to last season at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And so he's got an idea of how to run these plate-type tracks. And right now doing a good job as he sits currently in that 5th position on the inside row, sitting just behind the 38 of Christopher Hall. And at some point, you got to wonder, when does this inside, a couple of the guys think about making a move? I don't know if we see those 3 teammates up front even consider ducking out of line until we get maybe to the white flag at this point. But if you're somebody like Christopher Hall or Austin Fitzgerald, even Cody Matthews, who's making a good run here early, do you jump out of line, try to get up in front of Gutierrez, take that risk? Do you work for the reward? I mean, again, the ultimate goal is just to get yourself into the Capital Auto Group 250 next week. But the next goal after that is to get yourself the best track position possible. Everybody wants to start as close to the front row as they can. And so as we hit 18 laps to go now, Michael Muller is still your leader. Andrew Mraz in 2nd, Anthony Hanley in 3rd, Christopher Hall back in 4th. Danny Gutierrez rounding out your top 5. Austin Fitzgerald back in 6th, Jeff Marble in 7th, Cody Matthews 8th, Brian Conklin falls a couple spots right there. But it's Cody Matthews now actually in 9th, and Glenn Grigsby rounding out your top 10. Brett Spod back in 11th, Ryan Haynes in 12th, Tracy Powers 13th, Ryan Shiro 14th, Thomas O'Hara back in 15th, Roger Shelton 16th, and Mark Zabak. By the way, the only Canadian driver in the field here tonight. He is back down 11 from where he started in 17th. Don't forget, duel number 2 coming up, well, literally right after this. I mean, we're not even going to get a break but to read the finishing results. So make sure you stick around to see who we're going to see advance to the outside row for a starting position in the big race next week. And by the way, that race will be same time, same place. Equally, in my opinion, on par with winning a championship. And it's going to be a 40-car field and 40 of the best in the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series. Going at it for a chance at getting yourself locked into the playoffs early, among a bunch of other things. But now the little 3-wide action as Gutierrez drops to the outside. He's going to have to go to the back of the train right here. Jeff Marble will take that spot. You got to wonder if that was coordinated a little bit. Maybe Jeff, Danny communicating, saying, hey man, this ain't quite working. Let's try to swap. Let me cool down a little bit. Maybe let me get a different pusher here. And this might work out well because now you've locked up two of the Team Marble iRacing teammates together on that outside row. Brian Conklin, who kind of the underdog story last season to a degree, went way further in the playoffs than even he gave himself credit for and had a chance to go a little bit further. But man, a couple of the races we had towards the end of the season got messy and pretty wild, all things considered. Unfortunately, Brian, part of the bad end of the stick on that. Didn't quite advance to the Final Four, but came pretty darn close to it. Looking for a good run. One of the best plate track racers in the series. And again, you see him working right now on his teammate, trying to offset him left just a little bit. Bails off in the corner. That's that risk versus reward game kind of playing right now. You don't want to get too aggressive too early. And more than that, I mean, you have more chemistry with your teammates, but you got to save the really, really aggressive pushing for when you got to do it, which is probably going to be in about the last 5 to 10 laps of this race. As we have just now hit the halfway mark, 15 to go at Daytona. On the inside now, they started to see the outside gaining some momentum. All of a sudden, they flipped a switch, and now the three Riot Motorsports teammates have started to try to create a little bit of breathing room again between them and the rest of this lead pack. But Jeff Marble not going anywhere anytime soon. Him and Brian Conklin have gotten locked back up, and they're going to go see if they can give some fight to the rookies. Now it truly is the veteran versus rookie match. And it's experience versus aggression. And, you know, we haven't seen these three up front really have to worry about doing anything egregious in terms of blocking or pushing the issue too hard. But when they've wanted to, boy, they have seemed smooth with it. I don't know the last time we saw a team this coordinated this early. Almost reminds you of what we saw was JBR E-Racing last season, who, by the way, that's not even a team anymore. I mean, we lost 3, almost 4 of the drivers from it. Danny Gutierrez, I think the only returning driver that we see, and of course no longer on that team, but rumored to join Team Marble iRacing. So as they remain 2-2 with 14 laps to go, if you're in the back, I think now's the time you gotta quickly start thinking about getting towards the front. We're starting to slowly wind down on the end of this thing. Every lap that goes by, the further back you find yourself, the harder it's going to be to get back to the front. How about Ryan Haynes in the 39 machine? The second of 2, well, I guess I should say, yeah, the second of 2 BMP racing drivers in the field tonight. The driver out of Center Hill, Florida, with a pretty good run. Watch for him and Brett Spod to get linked up before this thing's all said and done. Right now, you got Ryan on the inside. Brett still trapped on the outside. But if that top lane fades a little bit more, Brett could have the option to jump right down to the bottom. And, ooh, big checkup on the bottom right there for Ryan Haynes. Saw him falling back a little bit. 39 machine, excuse me, I mixed it up there. I got the two color schemes involved. Ryan Haynes is actually on the outside in the 39 machine. Brett Spot on the outside as well, just a couple of spots back. I had my eyes fixated for some reason on the 25 of Tracy Powers. But the 2 BMP racing drivers still not quite lined up. They are separated by Danny Gutierrez in the 08. And then Tracy Powers, as we noted, doesn't have a team so far this season. Independent driver, a couple strong runs last season, still looking for that first win. But I don't think he's too long away from it. Had a couple really close chances. Who knows, maybe tonight's his night, but they got to be careful here. They're starting to fall a little bit further back here from this lead draft as they single filed out. And I mean, it's pretty clear that the 3 Riot Motorsports cars, it looks like the setup they have is just absolutely phenomenal. But among that, what about this here? Tracy Powers, he's going to take the run and try to jump to the outside down the super stretch. Jeff Marble looking to see if he can get up to the back bumper and maybe give him a push, and he will. He'll do just that as they work their way through turns 3 and 4. That was a perfectly timed move from Powers. This will give some surge to the outside now. Do we see a move from Michael Muller? How about second place? Does Andrew Mraz think about jumping out? I don't think so. These 3 almost on cue have been able to get locked up and tandem away every time they've needed to. And so now with just 11 laps to go, all they're focused on right now is how can they continue to keep themselves in front of the field. And again, maybe make a move on the last lap if you got the chance. I mean, you got to race at one point, but right now the goal is, again, to get everybody in the duels, and none of these guys are guaranteed in, except for the man who's set on the pole here tonight. That's it. So 2 of his teammates, again, not guaranteed a spot in the 250 next week just yet. Again, shout out to everybody currently tuning in right now. Again, we got duel number 2 coming up just after this. So if you don't see your favorite driver in this one, that's probably meaning you're going to see him in the next one. But if you like what you're seeing, please let us know. And also, please let me know how the audio mix sounds between my voice and the race chat. If there's anything you want to hear less of, hear more of, we always appreciate it. Jacob Musso says, sadly won't be able to make next Monday, but let's go Glenn. Rooting on Glenn Grigsby, who right now, by the way, sits back at 9th. This was one of the independent drivers last season. And for a guy who had to kind of work setups a little bit by himself and work by himself, he showed a lot of fight, and SWM liked what they saw. Picked him up, and now he's going to be working with guys, some of the likes such as Kyle Oakley, who we saw have plenty of success last season. He'll be in duel number 2. That's exactly what you get out of here if you're Glenn Grigsby, and he's got to feel like it's a win in his book. I mean, when you have teammates to work with, it's a win, but when you come to a super speedway and you have teammates to work with, it's a whole different beast in general. It's kind of your only chance to have a shot at these at the end. We know things like to get crazy, and I think we're getting right about to that point where things might start to get crazy. Roger Shelton with some issues potentially here. 42, way off pace. Back in 17th. Beautiful looking paint scheme. Unfortunate that he's not going to potentially have a chance to show it next week. I wonder if it was some internet issues here. This is what we got the data showing. He was in this pack. Does he get some help? Oh, I know how this is going to set up. Yikes. Going down the back straight away. The 20 of Ryan Shiro. And man, watch this one more time here. So as they come down the backstretch, and in fact, we'll go to blimp cam. I think maybe they were trying to draw down to the bottom when this happens. And so Ryan Shiro currently sitting just behind Roger Shelton. He's going to go down to the inside. Now, maybe he's making a move here. But as he goes to do so, the 42 is going to try to cover. Keeps coming, and I mean, the 20's there at that point. So Roger Shelton, maybe a little bit of a rookie mistake right there. Unfortunately, sends him around. It's a phenomenal save. I mean, you don't get away with something like that much at a track like Daytona to just simply spin around and keep going. But again, costs him the draft, and he's going to need a caution these last 8 laps. So as we go back live and up to the front of the field, it is now still 4 cars single file in line. Field still in the hands of Michael Muller. He has led the most by a long shot here tonight. Andrew Mraz, his teammate, in second. Anthony Handley, the third of that trio, still sitting in the top 3. Christopher Hall back in 4th. Austin Fitzgerald 5th. Cody Matthews 6th. Tracy Powers 7th. Jeff Marble in 8th. Ooh, some sparks now. Again, when the lights are on here and it's dark at Daytona, you get to see just how low some of these guys have these cars riding. Custom setup. Sparks will be flying all night. But that was on the inside line, just cars bottoming out a little bit. If you're just bumping a little bit, no harm, no foul, it's when you really start slamming the splitter on the ground. You got to be careful. Doesn't seem to be an issue. And Powers and Marble, they've been working. In fact, Jeff Marble, he has been working this entire race, it seems like, on that high side. But just they have not been able to draw even. Now, part of that could be the weather that we're getting here tonight. Again, nighttime race, a lot cooler ambient air temp. And that means a lot cooler track temp as well. You see it there, under 80 degrees. These next gens not getting hot nearly as quick. That means the inside's got a lot more push when they need it. And also, tires not wearing out as much, so the inside's going to roll longer. At the end of the day, the point is, cooler track temp makes that top lane harder to get moving. That's what it is right now, so they'll continue to try to make some adjustments and see what they can do. And I mean, that's the beauty of it with open setups, right? You can make adjustments based off what you felt here tonight in preparation for the big race next week. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see if maybe some of these guys try to trim the car out a little bit, maybe sacrifice a little bit of handling. We'll see what they decide to do, but Michael Muller now has hit the magic number, handful, 5 laps to go here at Daytona. A lot of times, though, we see the guy who is leading the most laps, or even just leading on the last lap, isn't the guy who wins the race. The amount of times that we see the guy in second, third, heck, I've seen people back outside of the top 10 find a way to victory lane on the last lap. But how about this? If a rookie could come in here in his first race, you know what? I'll do you one better. Not just, oh, wrecking out back. We got contact, and we got our first wreck of the night. The 38 of Christopher Hall is in it. Tracy Powers, but it looks like Christopher Hall gets the worst of it. Didn't see that one coming, but all of a sudden, it has now changed the pace of this race. And that is an unfortunate break for Christopher Hall, because I do believe with that wreck and the damage he sustained, again, no fast repairs, that is going to end his race and ultimately end his chance at participating in the Daytona Capital Auto Group 250. All right, here we go. Let's go back, take a look first at the chopper cam. See where this whole thing gets started. I'm thinking it's going to be something between Powers and Fitzgerald that's going to turn Powers into the 38. But let's watch here. You see Fitzgerald's creeping down. He's fine. Yeah, well, he starts to creep back up all of a sudden and then creeps up a little more. Yikes. There was maybe a slight bit of netcode there, a little bit of netcode there, but man, Fitzgerald was certainly running him pretty tight. Maybe he was trying to get a little bit of a side draft, but when you get that close for that amount of time, sometimes you run the risk of getting contact from that side draft, and when it does, it turns powers down into Christopher Hall. Christopher Hall here is going to have absolutely nowhere to go as soon as he gets turned around, and watch that big hit. We'll back that up one more time, take another look. You see Conklin run into there. Man, watch this. So once he gets turned, he's going to slam the outside safer barrier. Jeff Marble, man, sneaks by, maybe gets a little damage on the right front. Cody Matthews, Austin Fitzgerald trying to miss it. But then you saw Brian Conklin pile in. Grigsby's in the grass. Brett Spott in the 35 is able to go high. He avoids it. Conklin going through the grass after making contact. And there's 35 machine up top, or excuse me, the 39 rather, of Ryan Haynes. As Christopher Hall comes to a sliding stop, Tracy Powers misses the second one. And when you're Austin Fitzgerald in this case, it's so hard to tell. Again, you're fighting for every inch you can, and he, in his defense, he's not touching him. But it's just when you run that close, sometimes this kind of thing can happen. And unfortunately, Tracy Powers doesn't really care that he didn't physically make contact. Probably isn't feeling too happy about the situation right now. Good save after the wreck, though, by Fitzgerald. So he was able to continue on. Take a couple more angles of this one here first from the spotter view. And then we got to take a ride on board with Jeff Marble again. I think he did make some contact, but not sure just how bad it was. Hall was close to just sneaking by it, but couldn't quite do it. And lucky that didn't collect anyone else. If we had a bigger field like we will next week, that may have very well been the big one. In fact, for the duels, I mean, I feel like that kind of counts as a big one. That took out probably 2 to 3 cars out of contention via damage. I think the only one that's going to physically retire, though, is Christopher Hall. Now let's go back, take an onboard view here with Jeff Marble through this, and watch this. Oh my goodness, doesn't even burp the throttle. What a move to avoid that wreck for Jeff Marble. That is a split-second decision you've got to make. You either get on the brakes, check up, hope you miss it, or in this case, if you're Jeff Marble, you say, I think my best shot here is just yank it left, stay in the throttle, and it works out. What a piece of driving. I know a lot of people say that there's no skill in wrecks, but there is certainly a lot of skill in dodging wrecks, and that was impressive to watch right there from Jeff Marble. Look from the backstretch cam. That's a big hit. You see it just rips the front bumper off Christopher Hall immediately. Nice job there by Haynes and Spot as they had snuck by up top. So as we go back live, this is going to put us into overtime here for duel number 1. Who would have guessed? 3 laps to go, but it's going to be a green-white checkered finish. That means 2 to go. Mind you of the rules of that. We'll take the green flag. If we make it around to take the white flag, this race will be official. However, if we don't, we'll rack them up and try it again. And I believe we have 3 of those if we need them. Now up front, should come as no surprise that your leader right now is Michael Muller. Andrew Mraz back in second. Anthony Handley in third. Jeff Marble fourth. And Cody Matthews rounding out your top 5. And by the way, I do want to apologize now if I'm pronouncing some of these guys' names wrong. More specifically, usually the last name. We'll have it right within the next couple weeks, but do feel free to let me know if you're watching out in the chat and you know I'm saying something wrong. I'd be more than happy to try to fix that. Let's see if we can get a quick word with the rookie who's leading the duels here. Hey, Michael, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Well, I'm good, but man, I'm trying to figure out how are you doing this right now. You come in as a rookie, and not just you, but 2 of your teammates have been up here dominating the field since the drop of the green. What's going to be your guys' game plan here, though, to get all 3 of you into the duels during this crazy overtime we're about to have?
You know, we're just going to hope. We're going to go for it. We're going to hope. We have a fast step underneath us. Just try to get together as much as possible and see if we can finish this thing 1, 2, 3 like we've done all race.
Well, the other question I got for you is you just mentioned it there at the end. You say if we can finish 1, 2, 3, and I think everybody watching at home's wondering too, do we see you guys get a little racy with each other if you pull away from the field, or do you get lined up and stay that way the rest of the way?
I think we just stay 1, 2, 3. I don't think we try to race each other. We're here just to first race to try to finish it out and show, put on a good show.
Well, you've been doing that all night, and hey, not too bad for a rookie, looking like a veteran already. Good job so far. We'll see if we're talking to you at the end of this thing.
All right, thanks, guys.
There you go. Spoken like a true veteran. He said, nah, I think we're going to line up, play this thing safe. Sometimes that's the best way to do it. And now that leaves the question of who's got something for him and where is it going to come from. Here we go. 2-lap shootout overtime, first of the season, and it's in duel number 1. Green flag back in the air at Daytona. Good initial start from both lanes. We'll see if they coordinate something here. Does somebody jump up? Does somebody jump down? Right now, Jeff Marble is giving all he's got to the 97 machine on the outside of Andrew Mraz. First time that he will poke a nose out in front here tonight. Michael Muller on the inside, still trying to hold even. He's able to do so far. Will we see a third lane get formed? Nothing doing just yet. First time down the super stretch on this restart. Jeff Marble gets the 97 clear. He's trying to push himself. Clears well the 98 though. Fighting back on the inside, trying to help his teammate. Anthony Handley not able to do so. Jeff Marble gets clear, makes the move down to the inside. Here comes the 74 of Austin Fitzgerald, 3 wide further back. It's the BMP Racing driver Ryan Haynes up top. 2x2 into the short chute. Here we go into the tri-oval. Up top with the move. Now a block. Fitzgerald goes all the way to the apron. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go. The rookie blocking for all he's worth. Fitzgerald not going to be too happy about that. But meanwhile, while they're doing all the blocking, that is given a chance now up top for the 35 of Brett Spod to take a peek out to the lead. Final time off of turn 2. This backstretch may very well decide who gets the win here in duel number 1. No 3 wide yet, but how about the 20 machine of Ryan Shiro? Where did he come from? 3 wide further back. They're bumping up front. Now the 35 gets turned. Reckon into turn 3. Jeff Marble tries to save it. More contact. Reckon big out back up front. The 97's got the lead, but can he hold off Ryan Shiro? Shiro's going to jump to the top. A big block to the top. Now to the bottom. Shiro gets the lane. He's got a side draft. 3 wide to the top. Here goes Ryan Shiro. Is he going to get it? He does! At the line, Michael Mueller steals it. Oh my goodness. What a race and what a finish in duel number 1. We got to go back and take a look at this. I didn't even expect the move up top from Michael Mueller, but he makes it work. Oh my goodness. Here's a look from the blimp cam. We got to back this up. Are you kidding me? Watch the 97. He's going to try to block high. Shiro goes back low. Can't block it. But that cost both of these guys some momentum. And Michael says, you know what? Thank you very much. I'll take the top. There's no run out back. So it is a 3 wide drag race to the finish. And guess who? And not by much. I'm telling you, it was about, I think it was 100th of a second. And so as we go back live here, give me just a minute to get some things sorted out. Again, duel number 2 is going to be starting here momentarily. I am stunned at the finish we just had. That might have topped every finish we had last season, and that was just duel number 1. So as these drivers get gridded up and get ready for heat number 2, duel number 2, let's take a look at what those finishing results look like there for your first duel. It was Michael Mueller, again, I apologize if I'm pronouncing it wrong, who gets the win. Ryan Shiro in second. Andrew Mraz rounds out your top 3. Ryan Haynes back in 4th. Jeff Marble in 5th, Thomas O'Hara in 6th, Anthony Handley in 7th, Cody Matthews 8th, Danny Gutierrez 9th, Mark Zabak rounding out your top 10. Roger Shelton back in 11th with Austin Fitzgerald in 12th, Brett Spott in 13th, Tracy Powers 14th, Glenn Grigsby back in 15th, Brian Conklin in 16th, Christopher Hall back in 17th, rounding out duel number 1. So we'll see who doesn't advance. Again, we have a general idea, but it's going to kind of depend on the guys that were locked in and how they finished. And with how quickly duel number 2 is starting, we don't quite have time to sort that out because we're going to the formation lap. Here we go. In fact, we'll go back live. And as we do so here, Kyle Oakley should be leading here. Give me just a moment. As I get the formation lap here, still struggling a little bit to get these guys back to live view. See if we can go. There we go. So these guys currently sitting on the grid, but I believe they just got rolling here. For some reason, SDK has not want to work with me, so we'll do this the old-fashioned way here. You see they are just getting rolling. Kyle Oakley here. Here we go. Sorry for that quick delay, but as we take a look at your starting grid for duel number 2, here's how it's shaping up. Kenneth Bartholomew, again, he is going to be locked in to the Capital Auto Group 250. Another rookie showing a lot of speed here early. As he gets the pole, Kyle Oakley to his outside. He will roll off from that second position. Bill Benedict back in 3rd. Jared Bundy in 4th. Quentin Clark, another one of the rookies, he'll roll off 5th. Alan Pajari in 6th. Ty Ippolito back in 7th with Andrew Russo in 8th, Todd Sherrill 9th, and Tyler Marble rounding out your top 10. Troy Baker and Jake Hickson making up row number 6. Two of the rookies in the field, and then it's Brandon Saylor back in 13th with Nick Sitchie in 14th. Jeff Shutt 15th, Adam G. Johnson in 16th, and rounding out duel number 2 is Johnny McCulchek. For No Excuses Racing, he will start 17th. Your race info again, just in case you missed it again. Duel number 2, we just had duel number 1, and what a finish it was. That's any kind of indication of what we're about to see right here. Boy, am I excited. 30 laps of distance, 100% fuel, 4 sets of tires, but you're not going to want to take them. Track position 2 important. No fast repairs, open setups. 3 green-white checkers if we need it, which you never know. We saw one in duel number 1. Might see one in duel number 2. All right, here we go. To decide the outside lane, the Capital Auto Group 250. Kyle Oakley on the outside. Kenneth Bartholomew on the inside. Green flag in the air at Daytona. First lap complete in duel number 2, and it is going to go to Kenneth Bartholomew on the outside line. Bill Benedict in second, and there you see the Ryko machine for Kyle Oakley leading the outside. Not sure if he was with Ryko last season, but by being with them this season, you know, he's going to be a strong contender. Already sparks flying on the bottom as the tires are still getting up to temp and pressure, but a little bit of an offset push right there. You got to be careful. That's the 3 machine of Jared Bundy. Got Oakley just a little bit offset. Now the good news is that these two are teammates this season. So Jared Bundy and Kyle Oakley should have good chemistry together, but they're still getting it sorted out for the moment. This outside lane is dying, though, in a hurry. Tyler Marble, he quickly abandoned ship. A couple more out back are going to do the same as they all jump to the inside. Very characteristic of exactly what we saw in duel number 1. And so up front now, Kenneth Bartholomew, he is going to hope that he can ride around, lead some laps, get this thing closer to the finish. Still a long ways to go, as now we're going to see Jeff Shutt, Capital Auto Group sponsor from last season, and one of the drivers that, again, similar to Brian Conklin in my view, where I feel like he kind of flew under the radar until we got to the postseason. Once we did that, boy, did he start making some noise. Went again, just about as far as he could. Fortunately, due to some unfortunate circumstances, didn't quite get as far as he would have liked to. Just trying, but sometimes that's a little bit of luck that can play into the playoffs, especially when you have the elimination style format. But back tonight, looking to see if he can get this season kicked off with a win. And he is leading right now. What is in total a 4, make it 5 as a couple more tag on. Car draft train on this outside line. Take a ride on board here up front with Kyle Oakley. Well, he was up front now. It's going to be his first time getting a chance to push some of these guys here tonight. And he is one of our driver cams, holding a nice steady wheel. He's trying to get Jeff Shutt a little bit offset left. One of the No Excuses Racing drivers right now. And speaking of, there's his teammate. You see Johnny McCulchuk just on the inside, and we'll pan to him next because he is the other driver that we have carrying an onboard camera for us here tonight in duel number 2. As he sits on the inside, playing it nice and conservative. Again, no real reason to push the pace just yet. Still very early, and this is characteristic of what we saw. Things were nice, calm, and collected in that first duel until they really broke loose towards the end of the race after we got that first caution. Again, right now, Johnny McCulchuk just playing it nice and patient, riding the inside, and you can see he gives himself a little bit of room so that he can actually see what's going on in front. Sometimes you get a little too close to that car while you got to push. It gets a little tough to see. Oakley, big moment on the outside right there. That's going to cause a stack up. Looked like maybe he started to get just a little bit offset to the left of his teammate on exit. And you can get away with it a lot of places here in these cars. That is not one of them. These cars have a tendency to unload when you get to the exit of the corner. You got to bail off of a guy just a little bit, then reline him up, give him a push down the straight and back into the corner. But Jeff Shutt right now, looks to me, he's just running a little bit high, and you actually see Oakley kind of ducking low here a couple times. Almost looks like he might be considering taking a peek here. Jeff Shutt's not careful, and wouldn't be surprised because that second and outside lane continues to just fall, not making any progress. Tyler Marble right now stuck a little bit further back than he would like to be, but again, we saw a little bit of, I'm not going to call it controversy because I don't think that's what it was, but just a little bit of a mental error in the championship race last season. Set up a little bit of a chaotic decision on who was your champion, but Tyler's back, and we saw the strength last season, multiple wins. We're going to do the same again this season. We know how good he is at road courses, shares the same speed at these super speedways. And here we go. How about two of the teammates now going to jump up top for No Excuses Racing. Johnny McCulchuk and Jeff Shutt going to try to get this outside back to life. And they can sit there and bubble push as much as you want, but when that inside continues to roll as strong as it's been, it's just not going to be enough. They're either going to have to do one of two things. Get some more cars to get up there, shift the momentum that way, or again, get tandemed up and start pushing. And yeah, that's kind of the one thing that you can do in these next-gen cars that you really can't do in any of the other series, and that's tandem with people. We see in the Xfinity and trucks, you can push a guy for a little bit, but you don't necessarily make a whole ton of progress. And the next gens, it's like you get two cars together all of a sudden. Feels like you've gained an extra 200 horsepower. Those two cars can get to the front in a hurry. On the inside, though, Kenneth Bartholomew, again, I am so impressed with what we've seen so far tonight from these rookies. Not one of the driver on Riot Motorsports, but again, still a rookie in of itself. And the fact that he put himself on the front row already guaranteed for the big one next week. And not that, but he's also been leading every lap since this thing got started here tonight in duel number 2. The driver out of Glen Cove, Long Island, trying to represent one of the smallest states in the U.S. Seeing what he can get done here tonight. Troy Baker, another one of the rookies in the field. And right now, he has decided that he's going to stay on the inside, but if he gets clear, I wonder if he jumps up here in front of Ty Ippolito. And if you look at the rookies and how it was skewed, it was definitely skewed more towards Duel 2. I think it was just more that we saw so much dominance in Duel 1 that maybe you kind of thought, man, can you really top that after that point if you're a rookie? Not seeing anything too crazy yet, but again, still 22 laps to go. No pit stop expected. And so while things remain pretty calm, I think now's a chance to go over some of the announcements. Not too many, but just a couple of brief ones we have here. And we'll talk about, again, more as we go into next week as the season really gets started. This is, in my view, the duels are always kind of like the prelim to the season, and of course they are the prelim to the big race. And so looking at your schedule, what we've got moving forward, again, I'm going to get things kicked off with Daytona. The No Bull 5 program is back, and that race will be the first of those 5 races. Next up, we're going to head to Atlanta Motor Speedway for, again, basically back-to-back super speedways. Then it's off to Las Vegas, followed by Phoenix, Bristol, and then not sure what's going to be at the end of March just yet. Richmond, Martinsville, Texas, and Talladega kicking off into the spring months. Talladega, by the way, will be the second of the No Bull races. And then a little bit of a new announcement. All the sponsors did return, but better than that, the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series has brought on a new sponsor this season. That's right, BMP's Racing's very own Ryan Haynes and Brett Spod have decided to jump on board and represent Bushnell Motorsports Park, which Brett Spod is owner of and Ryan Haynes is the general manager of. And so they are sponsoring a couple things this season. First of all, they're doing the Rookie of the Year Challenge, which you see all these rookies going to be competing in. The Rookie of the Year will win $50 when it's all said and done. Similar to the No Bull Challenge. So, I mean, hey, with what we saw in Duel 1, if we got a rookie that's strong enough to go out there and win the No Bull Challenge, you'd be going home with $100, sweeping both of these challenges. On top of that, Bushnell Motorsports Park is also going to be sponsoring, I believe it's a couple, at least 3 to 5 races during the actual season. Have more info on that as we get into the next couple races, but good news overall for any fans of go-kart racing. If you live in the Florida area, make sure you go check them out. They're over in Bushnell, Florida. I believe I was texting Brett earlier about it. In fact, I live over here in Daytona Beach. Go to Orlando Kart Center a lot. That's because I didn't really know about Bushnell. Looked it up after hearing about it today, and you better believe that's the next place I'm going to be going to here in a couple weeks if I go karting. Get all the action that you see on track. Feel the surge of adrenaline for yourself in real life. But here we go. Back on track. Kenneth Bartholomew still leads the way on the inside. He's got the 90 of Bill Benedict behind him. Quentin Clark back in third. Todd Shiro in fourth. Now this 19, he's been slowly creeping his way up. He's got a really good lead car. The only problem right now is that he's not getting quite as much pushing as he could use right now from Johnny McCulchuk. Johnny maybe not feeling like it's time just yet. You see him kind of ease up to the bumper, but quickly back off. So does anybody else think about jumping up and maybe getting a little risky and helping this outside lane out a little bit? Todd Shiro in the 6, one of the drivers that running on Shiro Motorsports this season and running with his teammate Ryan Shiro, who we saw, of course, in duel number 1. And that is the driver out of Scottsville. Had a pretty good run last season. See what he can get going for the first race of this season. But looking at the 90 machine of Bill Benedict, and he's not really doing much pushing either. So I'm still surprised that the outside has just not been able to make enough progress to get up to this inside lane. Now, just as I say that, you see Bill's going to get locked on down the super stretch. Who jumps up a little bit. Oh, I thought he was thinking about a move right there for just a second. Quentin Clark, another one of the rookies who sits in 3rd. That is one of the Riot Motorsports drivers. So with what we saw out of them in Duel 1, should be no surprise. But here we go. We're going to see the 3rd lane get working. Jeff Shutt took a peek, but quickly going to shut the door on thinking about making that move as he jumps right back down in front of Kyle Oakley. They drop right back down to that outside line. And they will now draw even with that 3rd car in line with 17 laps to go. By the way, just after this, these guys are going to run a quick 10-lap shootout, kind of a for fun practice thing. And you know what? Why not? We're going to stick around for it. So if you want to see these guys do have a little fun after this, maybe get a little practice in for just a couple handful of laps or so, make sure you stick around for that one. But we have still got to decide who is going to be in and who's going to be out, who's making up the outside row. Outside lane, if you will, of the Capilotto Group 250. Jeff Shutt continues to duck out. I'm wondering if he's starting to get hot. Again, when you run open setups, you have a chance to make tape adjustments, and I don't think that's the case, if I'm being completely honest, but you always got to wonder if you maybe get a little bit more tape than you wanted to. You can't quite push as aggressive as you wanted because these cars just, they'll get hot if you don't have them set up right, but I don't think that's Jeff Shutt's problem at all. I think he's just trying to take it easy, make sure that he can maintain temps, and I think as we get towards the end of this race, to get up there. But Oakley is saying, come on, man, we got to go. You saw him give him a little bit of a shot right there off of 2. He wants him to get up there, see if they can't get this outside line up even further. And when you look for guys that you start thinking about, well, who's going to make that big move here at the end of this duel? Who's going to try to jump out and secure their first win of the season? Well, I'm honestly looking right now at Quentin Clark. Bill Benedict certainly has the opportunity, but I always felt like if you're the leader or the pusher, you stay where you are and you feel comfortable about it. That 3rd car in line, in my eyes, is the guy that's got the best shot at making a move to jump to the front. And usually when he goes, no surprise if a couple other people go as well. As Jeff Marble says it there, no tape on these cars. And that's right, I forgot, on the next gens, they actually don't do tape anymore. In real life, you used to be able to adjust tape, but the next gens, you can't put any tape on them. So thank you for that, Jeff. I got stuck on my Xfinity and truck car mindset there for just a minute. The 19 machine up top still. Ty Ippolito has lost all of his help all of a sudden here. The 72 of Johnny Mikulchuk still up there. Ooh, the 13 got a little wobbly there on the bottom. That was Nick Sitchie. I believe he might have just bumped the apron a little bit. As Alan Pajari is going to jump up. And so all of a sudden, outside lane hasn't died, but what it has done is almost refurbished. Got a couple new drivers in there. As you see a couple of the teammates further back, Jared Bundy and Kyle Oakley have gotten together and jumped down to the bottom lane. In the 88 machine, Andrew Russo, good to see him back this season. Saw some potential from him last season, and that is one of the Triad Racing Enterprises drivers. Just below him there, we talked about the 13 of Nick Sitchie, who does not have a team, by the way. And then Adam Johnson, another one of the rookies in the field and running as an independent. And when you come into a league, one of the biggest things that you always worry about is, can you get a team as a rookie? And it's, you know, you do if you show enough potential. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But man, if you're Adam Johnson right now, you got to be feeling like, what am I supposed to do here? I don't have anybody to work with. You got to try to make some friends and hope that those friends remember you at the end of the race. Still with 13 laps to go, Bill Benedict, who by the way is another one of those Triad Racing Enterprises drivers, he has not decided to make a move yet. The 19 has made another surge. The farthest that outside lane has got since the drop of the green, for the most part, has been to that 3rd car in line on the inside. Any further than that, it seems like they just stall. They either run out of temps or the inside just starts to roll a lot better again. The good news here is it does look like Johnny Mikulchuk is starting to feel a little bit more comfortable. He's picking up the aggression level a little bit at a time. So don't be surprised if this 19 to 72 eventually get locked up, get clear. We'll see if they decide to jump down to the bottom or stay up here the rest of the way. Again, if we were at Talladega, I would say the top's your best friend. Daytona here, the start-finish line, not nearly as far. It's in the tri-oval. So usually that bottom lane has the advantage, but who knows? Duel number 1, that wasn't the case. We saw that third lane up top be where the winning move came from. So you never know what you're going to get. 2x2 now with 12 laps to go, and just like that, the outside is going to pull 2, 3 clear, but Johnny McCulchuk will jump down before the 19 of the 34 are able to. So all of a sudden, after a whole race of what looked like single file dominance on the bottom, that second lane up top was finally able to draw even, get clear. And now, Alan Pajari, this is one of the best pushers you're going to see out here tonight, and he's going to have no issues getting himself and Ty Ippolito clear. He does just that. We'll see does the 34 stick with him or drop down and leave him. No move yet again. Alan Pajari is one of the Dynamic Auto Sports drivers. Him and Austin Fitzgerald teammates, and Ty Ippolito, one of the Dynamic Auto Sports teammates as well this season, one of the rookies they brought on, I believe. I'm not sure if they brought on one more driver or if it was just those 3, but looking through pre-race, I remember thinking to myself, man, Dynamic Auto Sports, as good as Pajari was and as dominant of a season as Fitzgerald had, I think that's the team I'd like to be on if I had a shot as a rookie in my first season. But they're going to have a lot of strength, not just in setup, but in learning. If you're Ty Ippolito, and he is getting a lot of lessons right now from Alan Pajari on how to keep your teammate at the front. Outside lane, though, is going to start getting reformed with some of the guys who maybe were stuck on the inside earlier. But more than that, it is Kyle Oakley in the 17 Ryko machine. He has got another push here from Jared Bundy. You saw him sitting back a little bit. You wonder, were they maybe working out some of the kinks in their pushing strategy, and now they're going to try to implement it. They've got a decent amount of help, but still, you see that fishtail, and that's not what you want to see. The longer those two can get locked up, and hold on just a second here. I was going to say, we might see a move to the top, and it may not matter. That's exactly what you just got right there from the 73 of Kenneth Bartholomew. And as he jumps up, that'll now make Oakley the lead pusher yet again. And so Ken is showing that even after getting buried, he wants to go up there and be aggressive. So come to 9 laps to go. We are now starting to wind down on time, last third of this race. As Kona says in chat, is the trucks going to be broadcasted or is it just Cup? I know for Ghost it's just Cup, but I don't remember if Jeff said he was going to still broadcast trucks this season or not. I'm sure he'll respond in chat momentarily to it. Down the backstretch. I mean, Pajari just looks like he is on rails, smooth as silk. Look at the push that he continues to give to his teammate right here. Bails off in the corner, but watch when he gets locked up. And of all the guys that we've been on board with tonight, he's been the furthest offset left, which if you remember me talk about at the start of duel number 1, that's what you got to do in these cars. I know in real life they'd be saying absolutely not, but when you duck out right, it parachutes the first 2 cars in line. So Pajari, he tries to stay tucked in as close as he can to the left taillight, tries to get him center. And then as they get into the corner, it gives him a little bit of breathing room, doesn't need to push any more than he needs to right now. Saving some temps. His caution is out. We got a wreck out back. Kyle Oakley and Kenneth Bartholomew. And Oakley right now shaking his head. He can't believe whatever it is that just happened. So not too happy about it, whatever it was. And yeah, he's got some damage on the left side of his Ford Mustang. So he gets back rolling, but I think that's going to end his chances at winning the duel, although looks like the back's pretty clean. Couldn't tell exactly how bad the front was. Yeah, well, the front left's pretty banged up, so see what happens here to Kyle Oakley. But let's go back and take a look at what brings out first caution here, duel number 2 with 7 to go. And usually when you see the head shake from a driver, it means they weren't too happy with the move they saw from somebody here. And keep an eye there on the 00. It looks like he maybe decides to make a move up here. We'll go to blimp cam first. And again, that is another one of the rookies, Quentin Clark. He sees that they've got to run up top, tries to jump up. Problem is he just kind of jumps up a little bit late. He does realize it, though. And when he realizes it, watch what he does here. He tries to kind of go back down, maybe hold it on the side here of Bill Benedict. And Bill moves up just a little bit. The right rear gets into the left front of Quentin Clark. That sends him into the 73. Stack ups on from there as everybody's just trying to miss it. Sends Oakley down the track. He gets hit by his teammate Jared Bundy before getting turned back into the outside wall. Jeff Shutt with a pretty good shot as well. You see Kenneth slide by on the inside right there. And I kind of wonder there, for Bill Benedict's sake, if when the 00 jumped out and then was as close as he was, if it didn't kind of suck him up the track a little bit. Let's go into the onboard view and see if this gives us any sort of insight. We'll watch the wheel input, see if it looks like he puts any input or if it just kind of does it itself. I think it just kind of sucks the car out there. I mean, watch the wheel here. So he's straight, and he's never going to turn this thing right. He only turns it left. He's turning it left, and it's just... I think that's just the effect of that right rear side draft. It's so strong in these cars. And so, yeah, I don't think Bill Benedict does anything wrong there. I think he's trying everything he can to hold it down. It's just sucking that car again up the track. And then Troy Baker, you see on the inside there, trying to miss it. Oakley's trying to save it. He almost did a couple times, but unfortunately there towards the end of the wreck, just couldn't quite hold on. So, ooh, the 73 I think has a right front suspension. I can't tell. It looks like it might be, yeah, maybe not. It looked like it was broken there when he first made contact. That would be a race ender if it was. One more view here. Actually, we'll take two more. First one from the spotter stand and then from the wall cam. Yeah, well, that was a big hit to the 73 right off the first initial point of the wreck. And then 27 to Jeff Shetty's trying to sneak by and fortunately gets turned. He's able to get it back to the right a little bit to the left and make it more of a tank slapper than a direct hit. But, I mean, when you're running about 190 miles an hour, it doesn't matter how you hit the wall. It's still going to do plenty of damage to the car. So as Oakley slides down, one more look at this from the wall cam. All right, so first wreck of duel number 2. And what that's going to do here is I'm going to have to do this the manual way again. Apologize for it. Puts us with 6 laps to go. Going to be less than that when we go green. In fact, I think it's going to be a 4-lap shootout to decide this thing. So not quite as short as what we saw at the end of duel number 1. But still going to be a sprint to the finish. I think we're going to see all that aggression come out from everybody that we maybe didn't see through the rest of this duel. At least up to this point. But how about Ty Ippolito? Currently leads the way. Alan Pajari in second. Jake Hickson in third. Andrew Russo in fourth. John McCulchuk back in fifth. Bill Benedict sixth. Tyler Marble in seventh. Quentin Clark eighth. Todd Shiro in ninth. And Troy Baker rounding out your top 10. All right, well, let's see if we can bring in the other rookie who's showing a lot of speed here tonight. Ty Ippolito. Let's see if we can get a quick word. Hey, Ty, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, so far tonight, rookies have been the storyline. I mean, you guys have been dominating Duel 1 and Duel 2, and here you find yourself out in front, coming to what's going to be a 4-lap to go restart. How you feeling right now, and what's the game plan the rest of the way?
Feeling pretty good. I got some teammates behind me. Just going to try and race it out.
When you come out to your first race as a rookie and you find yourself in the lead, at Daytona International Speedway, is there any sort of, does the mindset shift at all from maybe being a conservative and just trying to get your feet wet to, I want to win this thing, or do you just play this conservative the rest of the way and kind of just let whatever happens happen?
Oh, for sure, I want to win. Going for the win.
There you go. It's the right attitude to have about it. Well, you've been doing good so far and certainly looking like it's a good possibility. So thanks for talking to us. We'll let you get back to it, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you, guys.
There you go. Said he wants to win. I can't blame him. If I was down there right now, I'd be saying the same thing. I don't care if I'm a rookie or not. I don't care if it's a duel or if it's the 250 next week. I want to win at Daytona. It's the World Center of Racing. And we are getting ready to see these guys go at it for 4 more laps to crown a winner in duel number 2 and lock in the final half of your field for the Capital Auto Group 250 next week. All right, here we go. The lights on the pace car are off. Going to make that left turn down to the pits. Ty Ippolito in row 1 alongside his teammate Alan Pajari, Jake Hickson, Andrew Russo, row number 2. Watch for the 3 wide. Here we go. Green flag is back in the air. Good start for the inside, but it's an even better start for the outside. You see another one of the Dynamic Autosports teammates right there, Jake Hickson. And now jumping up to the top already, Alan Pajari. He's going to get a really good shove right here from Andrew Russo. And in fact, that top lane is more organized. What the bottom does have going, though, is those front 2 are tandem up. If they can hold even for long enough, they will roll some momentum. On to the super stretch again. If we can make it 3 laps, by the way, to the white flag, this race will be official. 3-car bump up top. That's all the momentum they needed. Watch Pajari to get clear here. The 88 of Russo is trying to follow. Can't quite do it. The 34 does get clear. Will he jump to the bottom or does he stay up top? Try to keep Dynamic Autosports in control of both of these lanes. And as they come off of turn number 4, you see Tyler Marble. Think maybe watch for him to be one of the guys to make a move. Has nothing to lose. He's already locked in. And so now 3 laps to go. Still 2 lanes on the bottom. Ty Iopolito looking for his first win as a rookie tonight. Ooh, the 72 of Mikulchuk washes up just a little bit there through 1 and 2. He's able to quickly get it back down. Pajari with a little bit of a sour push there from Benedict is going to cost them some momentum now. Going down the backstretch here for the 3rd to last time on the night. Duel number 2. Now the 19. Maybe does he get cleared by Andrew Russo? He doesn't. Russo pushed Pajari so hard that he had to back off to cool the engine down. And so at this point, I think what we're starting to see is that these first 2 rows may be locking themselves in to just push the rest of the way. But the 88 has not given up yet. He's locked right back onto the back of that 34 machine, looking to see if he can get cleared. And if he does he drop to the bottom or does he stay up top for now? Still no 3 wide, and it's the last lap for a caution if we're going to get one. The 16 and the 19 on the bottom. Pajari is staying committed to the top. I think he's going to stay there for the rest of the way. Bill Benedict, Tyler Marble. Watch for those 2 to maybe think about making a move. Now they're going to split Pajari. The 88 goes high. Who does Benedict go with? He goes with Alan Pajari, but this allows that middle lane to roll big time. Tyler Marble's going to jump up to the top. And this is where you start seeing some chaos right here as they split 3 wide further out back. Everybody falling back. The momentum has disappeared from the front of the pack. And so now this is going to single file out your first 6 to 7 cars. Pajari and Russo have recovered nose to tail, but not sure how friendly those 2 are going to be to each other. Here we go. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go in duel number 2. Still on the bottom, those 2 teammates locked up. Not sure if we'll see a move or not, but further back, we're going to see one from the 02 machine trying to get to the front. And as you go even further back to 34, Pajari, the 88 of Russo, they've also joined the fight as well. Here comes the cavalry. The 6 now up top, Todd Shiro looking to see if he can capture a win here tonight. The bottom now has 3 cars tandemed up. Watch for Johnny Mikulchuk to think about making a move. They're wrecking out back, wrecking big. The 13 is in it, but up front, it's going to all come down to these 2 teammates. I don't think they've got anyone behind him. Do we see one final move? Do they race each other? Do they stay tucked in line? They are going to stay tucked in line. Ty Iopolito gets his first win in the duels at Daytona. Dynamic Autosports brings home a 1-2. Johnny Mikulchuk finishes up in 3rd. And what a win it was. Maybe not quite as crazy as we saw in that first duel, but certainly just as exciting at the end and a little bit more tame if nothing else. And so before we get into the 10-lap shootout here for fun, wait to see if we can get your heat number 2 results. And looks like we haven't got them up to date just yet, so we'll go ahead and put this away for just a little bit longer. One thing we know for sure is just looking at your qualifying results yet again, we knew that 2 of the guys that were locked in rookie-wise that they had a little something to worry about was, Danny Gutierrez didn't, but Kenneth Bartholomew, still working on that last name. He is locked in no matter how this race went for him, and that's going to be important when we talk about these results because, I tell you, I don't think it went quite the way he would have liked. So here we go, taking a look at your Heat 2 results before we get to the starting grid of this race. Again, it was Ty Iopolito who got the win. First one of the season for Dynamic Autosports comes in the duels. Jake Hickson in 2nd. Johnny Mikulchuk 3rd. Andrew Russo back in 4th. Quentin Clark in 5th. Todd Shiro in 6th. Adam Johnson 7th. Troy Baker in 8th. Kyle Oakley 9th. But Jared Bundy rounding out your top 10. Tyler Marble back in 11th with Brandon Saylor in 12th. Bill Benedict in 13th with Nick Sitchie in 14th. Alan Pajari in 15th. Jeff Shutt in 16th. And that's the big one right there. Kenneth Bartholomew 17th. So if he would not have locked himself in via qualifying, there's a good chance that we may not have seen him in the 250 next week. So smart decision there to make sure that he had a good qualifying setup and was able to get the job done. All right, so drivers getting ready to roll off here. Again, we'll break down the format of what this race that we're getting ready to roll off on is looking like, but this is a for fun one. So if you're just sticking around, again, this is nothing too serious about this, just a little bit of extra practice that these guys are getting set up for next week. So here's a look at, actually, let's get a look at what your starting grid's looking like here. And this is basically setting it up similar to what you'll see next week for the starting order, minus the 2 guys in your front row. So I think you'd shift all these back a little bit, and it would also depend on who's locked in and who wasn't. But Michael Mueller, he'll sit on the pole for this little shootout. Ty Iopolito second. Those two won their respective duels. Ryan Shiro in third. Jake Hickson in fourth. Andrew Moraz back in fifth. Johnny McCulchuk sixth. Ryan Haynes, Andrew Russo making up row 4, and it's Jeff Marble and Quentin Clark making up your top 10. Thomas O'Hara back in 11th with Todd Shiro in 12th. Moving on back to row 7, it's going to be Anthony Handley and Adam Johnson. Cody Matthews 15th. Troy Baker in 16th. Danny Gutierrez and Kyle Oakley making up row number 9, and it's Mark Zabak and Jared Bundy rounding out your top 20. Roger Shelton starts 21st. Tyler Marble 22nd. Austin Fitzgerald and Brandon Saylor making up row 12. Brett Spott in 25th. Bill Benedict 26th. Tracy Powers 27th. Nick Kitchie in 28th. Glenn Grigsby 29th. Alan Pajari in 30th. Brian Conklin 31st. Jeff Shutt 32nd. Christopher Hall 33rd. And Kenneth Bartholomew back in that 34th position. All right, so we don't have the race info actually labeled out for you, but we're getting ready to tell you because, again, it's pretty simple. 10 laps. Again, it's going to be a quick one here. And cautions are on. So depending on how aggressive everybody decides to be, maybe this will go a little bit longer than I'm expecting. But 10 laps, I mean, you got to go right from the drop of the green. And we could very well see a run like this towards the end of the 250 next week. So you got to get practice, even if you're in the back. Find somebody to lock up with and split the middle, split the top. Find a way to get to the front. Here we go. Pace car pulls off. 10 lap for fun shootout underway at Daytona. Final practice before the Capital Auto Group 250 through the gears. And right off the get-go, Ty Iopolito with a good start. He's actually going to get a nose out in front, and he's got a little bit more help. And so that inside not being locked up yet is not going to help their cause. They got to get linked together. The sooner the better. But those two Dynamic Autosports teammates, they are rolling. They are rolling fast up top right now. He gets clear, but he's not going to drop down. Man, Ty, I felt like maybe he was going to take it there, but he doesn't. Johnny McCulchuk now stacking up on the back bumper. Big run for the outside line. The 39 on the inside of Ryan Haynes. Nothing he can do. He's tandemed up, but they just don't have enough of a push to make it work. And all 4 of those cars are going to drop to the bottom. Russo, McCulchuk, along with the 16 machine of Jake Hickson. And then, of course, your leader, Ty Iopolito. A couple more jumping up further back to the top lane. And we're seeing Quentin Clark try to get some momentum here. He's got some help right now from the 0-2 of Michael Mueller. Excuse me, not Michael Mueller, Adam Johnson. Ryan Haynes in the 39 was able to settle in a spot in line after getting almost kind of ganged up on to a degree. He was trying to push the guy but didn't have enough help. And unfortunately had to watch about 5 to 6 cars all jump down in front of him. And so as they go down the back straightaway, another move here we're going to see from Andrew Russo. He is going to jump up to the top lane just in front of Quentin Clark. And that causes a little bit of a break in the inside, but they're taking advantage because they are scooting away a little bit. And 3 wide now is the 3. Ooh, some contact between Jared Bundy. Caution's out. That wasn't what it was, but oh, Alan Pachari and Christopher Hall. Big damage. The front end of both of those cars. So 8 laps to go. Draws first blood. This will put us in a restart with probably under 5 laps to go now. Let's go back, take a quick look at it. See what happens here. Back this up. You see Pajari back here. So actually Pajari wasn't where this started. Fitzgerald was, though. Yeah, look at the spotter stand. Ooh, it's a massive, massive checkup. See the 24 and the 17. So it actually starts maybe even a little bit further up with Kyle Oakley in the 17. And is it just, what causes this checkup? Well, I'll tell you what starts this checkup up front, and then it just works its way back. And I mean, it's like pinball until it finally gets to 90. Bill Benedict, too big of a checkup for him to be able to handle. He gets turned from behind and then wrecks on from there. Fitzgerald nowhere to go. And then you saw Pajari and Christopher Hall pile in there towards the end with nowhere to go as well. Take one more quick view of this one. How about here from the blimp cam, or excuse me, the TV2 cam. And then watch. That's Pajari again. He's going to end up having nowhere to go. He's going to try to shoot through it on the top. Check it up. But once they come back up, gets together with Kenneth Bartholomew. Just nowhere to go. So that might end the for fun race of a couple of these guys. Is again expecting to go back green here with probably about 5 or 4 laps to go. So in the meantime, we haven't had a chance to tonight. We are going to take our first side-by-side break. We will be right back for the conclusion here of all the pre-race ceremonies that we've seen tonight for the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series as they get ready for the big race next week, the Capital Auto Group 250. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Daytona. Back live at Daytona International Speedway. We already concluded the duels to set the grid next week. A little bit of a for fun race here getting finished up. It's going to be 5 laps to go. Taio Polito and his teammate Jake Hickson leading the front row. As we come back to green, pace car should be pulling off this time. Yep, sure enough, lights are off. And so pick favorite here. And the reason I think I would say I don't have one is because 5 laps to go for fun right. Nobody's working together right here. This is see what kind of moves you can make. Do what you can do to get to the front because you never know what you'll have to do next week. And I know it's for fun, but I'm telling you, if I'm out there right now, I'm being as aggressive as possible because, you know, if you wreck, I mean, there's nothing to lose. You don't want to, of course, drive disrespectfully by any means, but this is the chance to make those big hero moves that you got pictured and visioned into your head for next week that you want to make and see if they work. Some of them will, some of them won't. We're getting ready to find out. Can somebody maybe get 2 wins here on the night? Again, Taio Polito, the main candidate for right now. Michael Mueller, a couple rows back. Can't count him out either. And some of these guys looking to see if they can steal a win here tonight. Here we go. 5 laps to go. Green flag back in the air. Good start for the front row. They waited for green so that they could get a nice even go. And now maybe we see these teammates coordinate a little something where neither of them tries to go down in front of the other. Question is, can they hang even enough with each other so that nobody else can make the move instead? And watch for that third lane to get formed up. Oh, check it up out back. They're going to wreck. Saw one around. This is going to draw the caution. 2 of them hard into the wall. As I believe Brett Spot. Oh, man, tough break for the BMP Racing driver. And that is going to end his night. And then we had one more there. Couldn't tell if it was Nick Sitchie. I think it was Brandon Brandon Saylor that was also involved in this. So let's go back, take a look here, see exactly what all happens. Saw the 24 get turned around, and I believe it was another massive checkup. That's sure enough what it looks like here. Here we go. Watch from the blimp cam. Yep, sure enough. Just a little bit of a checkup on that inside line. Backs up. 24 gets backed up to Tracy Powers, who, of course, can't miss it in time. There's nowhere to go. And then, let's say wreck. 24 goes up and collects 35 of Brett Spod. That was a hard hit for Brett Spod. Again, you saw him immediately tow. He knew that he wasn't going to be able to get that one fixed. Or at least not even limp it back to the pits. So the 24 with that big hit right there slides back down. Thankfully, though, doesn't collect anybody else. So, as we go back live, go ahead and change this up just a little bit. Ty Iopolito still leading. Jake Hickson back in second. Johnny McCulchuk in third. Andrew Russo in fourth. Michael Mueller in fifth. Quentin Clark sixth. Ryan Haynes seventh. Jeff Marble eighth. Adam Johnson ninth. And Cody Matthews rounding out your top 10. Quick reminder of where Ghost Racing Network heads next. Tomorrow night, 2 events. And honestly, I got one that I probably am telling you to encourage. I encourage you to go see, because I haven't seen something quite like this on iRacing in the time that I've been around or broadcasting. Over in PGR Money Racing, tomorrow they're hosting the Better Half Dash. And so all the money racers that you see weekly are going to be having their wives or girlfriends race it out. Small payouts, more for a fun one, but we'll see which one of the better halves is the best of them all. So make sure you tune in. I believe that race starts sometime at 10 o'clock. We have it posted, and Dawson Wise will be on the call for that one. I will be over commentating a charity race for R&R Racing League. Again, make sure you check that one out if you get some time as well. And that race, I believe, it's at 9 something. Again, we have some of the stuff posted, but good week of racing as we gear up for the real-life Daytona 500 at the end of this week. Hopefully everybody's getting pretty excited for that, as I'm sure these guys are. And, you know, I always felt like the best thing about the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series being on a Monday, I don't know how all these guys feel, but I remember as somebody who's just sitting around watching races, whenever you watch a race in person, it makes you want to race it so bad. So, sure enough, every Sunday when we see the real-life Cup guys go at it, you say to yourself, man, that looks fun. I want to go do that in the league. Well, guess what? The FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series has got you covered the next day. So I think that's a pretty cool little setup. So we'll see what happens here, as we got the one to go pretty quick. In fact, I wonder if they made it, or if they skipped 2 to green and just went right to 1 to green. Either way, it's going to be a 2-lap shootout. I believe it'll be a natural green-white checker, though, so we still have some overtimes if we need them, but all we got to do here is go 1 lap under green, and that'll make this little 10-lap shootout official. The 19 of Ty Iopolito, excuse me, again, still working on some of these last names, trying to capture his 2nd win of the night and 2nd win of the season, technically, for Dynamic Auto Sports. And maybe a little bit ironic that we're seeing the 2 rookies on the team up front. And meanwhile, Austin Fitzgerald and Alan Bajari have gotten caught up in some bad luck here on the night. So maybe some telltale signs of what we could expect next week at Daytona. One thing I can tell you for sure is that since we'll see all the teammates from every team together instead of some of them being split up, you're going to see a lot more coordinated pushing, especially from the big teams. And I'm very interested to see what we're going to see from our front row guys and how strong their cars are out leading versus pushing. And here we go. Lights again off, so he's going to make the left turn onto the pits for potentially the final time here on the night. It's been a busy man. He's had 2 duels and a for-fun race to go through. He's ready to watch these guys go at it for 2 more laps. Green flag back in the air at Daytona. Good start for both lanes. Nobody's going to get any major advantage here as we get down into turn number 1. Stack it up out back again. Looks like this time everybody was able to kind of gather it back up, as I think Johnny McCulchuk must have missed a shift. He had to have. He lost all sorts of position. That does allow Jeff Marble, though, to jump down to the bottom now, and he's going to get a chance to push the 19 here. And so can everybody keep it clean for another half a lap down the super stretch? Up top now, going to drop to the bottom. Cody Matthews looking for the middle. He's got to be careful now. He gets split. They're going to go 3 wide into turn number 3. Sparks flying. And there you go. The 88 of Andrew Russo gets clear. He'll jump down to the bottom. Danny Gutierrez pulling up to the back bumper of Quentin Clark off of turn number 4 to make it official. Russo looking for his first win on the night. He's got to hold them all at bay for 1 more lap. White flag in the air. 1 to go at Daytona. And Russo and Hickson are locked up right now. This is going to be a hard pass for anybody if these two stay as coordinated as they are. But looking up top, Quentin Clark, Gutierrez, they've done the same thing. Watch for the two Dynamic Autosports teammates to jump up. Looking for a block right here. What can Russo do? The 19 is going to beat his teammate to the punch. Up top, Jake Hickson now stuck at the bottom. They're wrecking out back. Jeff Marble's going to get turned. He's not able to save it. Matthews does. They are wrecking big out back. Up front, though, the race is still on as Russo gets split. Dynamic Autosports back to 1-2 on the bottom. Gutierrez up top with Thomas O'Hara. A lot of beating and banging, but at the line, they did it once. Can they do it again? Look at this. Dynamic Autosports 1-2 again. Ty Ippolito goes 2 for 2 on the season opener, or the prelim opener, if you will, at Daytona. How about that for some momentum going into Daytona next week? And so Ty Ippolito manages to bring both wins home to Dynamic Autosport that he had a chance at tonight, both in his duel and then a little practice race afterwards. Nicely done. So as things finish out again, there was no real benefit for this race, so we're not going to pull up the official results. We'll let them scroll across the top of your screen. But I'll tell you what, we need to go get a word with this guy because he's already done something that I don't even know if he realizes how impressive it is. He won his duel as a rookie, as did Michael Mueller, but now he's won race number 2, so we're not going to quite do top 3 interviews here tonight because, again, it was just a for fun race. Those will resume next week during Daytona. However, we are going to go get a quick word here with your winner, Ty Ippolito. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Hey, Ty, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, we talked to you earlier, and I mean, I shouldn't say I'm surprised to be talking to you again. You look so good in the second half of Duel 1. And hey, I know it's a for fun race, but man, you go back-to-back 2 for 2. How you feeling after tonight's duel and little practice race going into next week?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Well, we talked about new teams, and, you know, Dynamic Autosports last season started as just one driver, Alan Pajari. They picked up one of the veterans in Austin Fitzgerald. This season, they bring on 2 rookies. How is the experience that you're getting from those 2 going to help you, not just as we go into Daytona next week, but for the rest of the season?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Alan talked to me and Jake and told us to come into the league, invited us. So, yeah, it should be a good time.
Certainly should be. Well, I'll keep things short and sweet. Before we let you head out tonight, you are the winner. Is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
I just want to thank Jake and all my teammates at Dynamic Autosports.
Well, there you go. Well, we want to thank you for talking to us. Congrats on the dual win, which was the big one. And then, of course, the first fun one. You were fun to watch, and we'll be looking forward to watching you out here next week.
Thank you, guys.
All right, there you go. Ty Ippolito. I'll tell you what, you definitely tell he's got that rookie blood in him. The interviews definitely show it, but, you know, he's going to get used to those really quick here if he keeps stacking up wins like he did here tonight. But nonetheless, that is going to wrap it up for our coverage here tonight for the Fast Track Duels at Daytona. I hope everybody did enjoy, as always. Again, next week, the big one, the main event of the season, the Capital Auto Group 250. We'll have the link and more out on that in the next coming week or so before the race, of course, but make sure you stay tuned for further announcements on it. I want to thank everybody for coming out. It's good to be back with the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series, and hope you all, again, enjoyed, and we'll see you out here next week. Until then, that's it for me, Austin Green, here on Ghost Racing Network. Have a good night.